we noticed that there wasn't much of a community for those in the insurance innovation space in New York. And so we initially started hosting a couple events, which hit a need. If you're willing to invest a bit of time and money into technology, you're probably ahead of most other ages. Could be like a two-person AI tech company selling 10,000 policies. I think we might see some of that actually this year.
Well, welcome to the Connected Conversations in Insurance podcast. My name is Ray Huang. I am your host, and today we are joined by a true champion of modern insurance, Tony Lew. Tony Lew is the co-founder and managing director of InsurTech New York. It's the largest InsurTech hub in North America. Tony's created a unique space where carriers and investors and startups don't just coexist, but they actually collaborate. You know, they do a world-class conference here in March. They've got labs, MGA labs, investment funds, all sorts of things. So Tony's at the center of all of this. So Tony, welcome to the podcast. Really appreciate having you.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks for the intro. Yeah, just very glad to be here and talk to you today.
Yeah. So I gave you the kind of the high level spiel about you, but tell me a little bit about you, about who Tony is.
Sure. Yeah. No. So I started InsurTech New York with my business partner David Fritz in 2019, right before the COVID thing happened. And we started it because we noticed that there wasn't much of a community for those in the insurance innovation space in New York. And so we initially started hosting a couple events, which actually seemed like it hit a need for the community, and then we just kept doing more of it. And now we have expanded our community to doing at a high level 4 different things, and I can kind of go over them quickly. Here, one of them is we still host events, and the big conference that you mentioned, Ray, it's our annual conference. We get about 1,000 people over 2 days, so people say it's a very engaging conference, and it's not humongous and it's not small. It's kind of like mid-size. They call it the right size.
The right size. I like that.
At least that's what we're pushing. And then we also do what we call a corporate innovation program for carriers and brokers. And what we do for them is we're sort of like, in a way, outsource innovation team. We find startups that they want to partner with or invest in. We also provide education related innovation. So it's like a membership based program. We have that. And as part of it, we also host early stage startup competition and InsurTech Match program, which is part of the corporate innovation program. And then we also run an accelerator that's specifically created to help founders create new MGA businesses, very specific to that kind of program. And then finally, we started a venture capital fund where we invest in early stage startups. Yeah,
Nice.
So that's kind of a quick overview of what we do. They're all like different businesses, but they all help and connect each other because we only do anything and everything to do with insurance and innovation.
Yeah. So you've got your focus, but you've kind of got it going in a few different directions within that, which is awesome. So really bringing companies and people through in, right, like that ecosystem that we talk about. Thinking about some of the corporate innovation programs, can you kind of dive a little bit deeper into what you guys have done there?
Sure. Yeah. So, we have members, brokers like Gallagher, Lockton, to carriers like Mutual Omaha, Tokyo Marine, Daiichi Life. They basically span broker, carrier, and also P&C and life. And most of the time, we work with either their innovation team or their C-suite who's interested in finding more about the innovation space. And some are more mature than others, and we work with both of them depending on what their needs are. And so if it's a carrier that's in the earlier stages of innovation, we will provide education for them, try to help them understand what's going on, basically help gather market intelligence for them, and also help find startup partners that they could work with. So we do things like that, and then they also come to our events and things like that. So that's what we do for those kind of early in the innovation journey. And then there's others who are kind of mature, and they're looking. They already have a process in place. They don't necessarily need to like they have the basics down, but they want to understand kind of how to master partnering with startups, master specific parts of it, so we can help them with that. Or in many cases, they just want to find the right startup. And so we're able to, share all those in the ecosystem in a specific problem space. It could be claims, underwriting, whatever the case may be. We find startups for them that they could partner with and then introduce them. And also we have this thing called InsurTech Match program where we invite them to meet them in person and we do one-on-one introductions. So, that's a kind of overview of what we do for our members.
And then the conference that you're running, um, tell me more about that. What types of companies are showing up there? What sort of programming do you have for
Sure.
people?
Yeah, so conference is like our flagship event. It's our biggest event that we host. And, it's a chance for us to bring all of our community members, our corporate members to our startups, our portfolio companies. And then also there are many new, attendees as well, people we don't know. It's a mix of people we know and we don't know, but a large portion of them are people we know. So oftentimes we heard that it's a quite engaging event because like people kind of get to know each other. And not to dissuade from those newcomers because we definitely try to include them and have it an inclusive event. But the conference we focus on just like most conferences, two things. We focus on content and then networking. But I would say that what's a little bit different about our conference, we really care about our content. And so not the other conferences though, but we try to come up with a logical way that captures the entire value chain from distribution to underwriting, new product, operations, technology to claims. And so we'll have different panels and TED Talks and different sessions that cover all those areas. And then we also divide them into P&C and life and health. Because as much as both are insurance industry, we learned that P&C people generally don't know or are interested in the life and health and vice versa. So we have a separate room where they have different content. And then in addition to that, we also host multiple competition, startup competitions. So one of them is our main competition, which is a global early stage startup competition. And the reason why we have this is we wanted to discover and support new companies that are being created in this ecosystem. Because if you don't have new companies, then there's you know there won't be any good companies later on, right? So we wanted to help them, and so we typically get over 100 applications every year, and then top 10 get to pitch in our conference. And there's like a judge. We invite judges to rank them, and we pick two winners. One is like a carrier broker winner, and one's an investor winner. And we had amazing startups who have won it in the past few years, including companies like Healthy and Honeycomb, who's gone on to do great things and raise a lot of money too. So that we have that, and then again this year, similar to last year, we will have two more competitions. One of them is a Final Four for universities. It's a university case competition, and we're gonna have University of Iowa and a few other schools. University of Connecticut, I think, is gonna join us back, and a couple other schools. And they're gonna be doing a case competition on something related to insurance innovation. And last year when they pitched, I thought some of them did a better job than some of our competition, professional founders. So
Yeah.
should be a fun event. And then we're also going to have UK government bring some startups from the UK, and they're going to do a pitch competition too. So a lot of competitions for startups, and it is we're InsurTech New York, so we're very much a insurance startup kind of focused community. But just, to be clear, their content is really for carriers and brokers. It's for them to leverage the latest technology and innovation. Because let's face it, without the incumbent carriers and brokers, you need them to innovate. They're the kind of the engine of this industry. Right? There's only so much startups can do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the content side. And then the networking side, we actually expanded our expo this year. We're going to have many more expo booths this year. One of the complaints I got from at least one carrier executive leader I know is he wanted to see more. So there just wasn't enough expo booths. So we're like, okay, we can fix that. So we expanded it. And so we should have more space and more startups. And a lot of our expo booth owners tend to be more startups than maybe in other conferences, who tend to be a little later stage. And so you might see some U-ish companies in our expo area. And then we also always use our Umbrella networking app, so you can use that to set up meetings.
Awesome. Yeah, it's great. It's great to give those startups kind of a platform and a space where they're not kind of dominated. And there's a lot of good like InsurTech conferences and insurance agency oriented conferences and like, platform oriented ones, right? You got the Vertifores and the Applies that run their big conferences. But it's good to have a space for these newer up and coming companies, because you're right, they're largely the future. And then there's folks like us, like Canopy Connect, who are kind of in the middle. We've been around for 6 years. Where we're kind of like, well, we're not quite a startup anymore. We're putting on our big boy pants, but we're still in the grand scheme of things relatively new. So it'll be really interesting to see that mix. And and then there's companies that have been around for 25 years that are there. So
that's
very
for sure.
cool. Well, it sounds like an exciting event. And we'll make sure to post some stuff in our show notes or the description below here. So you can get your tickets if you're in the area or you want to make the trek over there, because it's not just New York, right? It just happens to be in New York, but clearly this is
a global event. We don't hold having our name New York in our name against us. We work with companies definitely nationally, if not globally. And then the competition is a global competition. In fact, in the past several years, I think at least or close to half of the finalists were not from the US. It's been averaging at least like 5 companies outside the US.
Picture this. You got a hot lead on the phone. They're ready for a quote, but then comes the dreaded question. Can you find your current declarations page and send it to me? Well, suddenly, the momentum stops. They have to go digging to look for it. You have to wait. And that easy quote becomes a chore. It doesn't have to be this way. Canopy Connect turns that 30-minute scavenger hunt into a 10-second digital handshake. Your client just clicks your link, signs into their current carrier, and boom, you have everything you need to provide an accurate, competitive quote. It's bank level secure, SOC 2 compliant, and frankly, it makes you look like a tech savvy genius. Give your prospects the modern experience they expect. Join the thousands of insurance agencies leading the pack with Canopy Connect. Visit usecanopy.com/intake and see the difference for yourself, or just click below to find out. Canopy Connect. Insurance intake simplified. I wanted to shift the conversation a little bit to, like you were there and you see a lot of technology, emerging technologies, things like that. And like one of the fears I hear a lot from agents is that like there's so much tech out there. Some tech is just sort of like expected, right? There's like a baseline sort of expectation of what tech to have, where it's going, and how it's kind of in a ways like commoditizing their work. So, right? Everyone wants to move into this like, hey, let's go forward. Let's make a very streamlined experience. And that may not be for everyone, but streamlined experience. And they want to, be able to purchase a policy in 3 clicks or service a policy in 2 clicks and all that stuff. Everyone's got
Yeah.
an app. Everyone's got things. So how can an agency kind of sift through a lot of this and try to, with all the tech that's available out there, still, I don't know, still stand out, still grow and have volume, and not be the status quo? Because I think we're not dealing with like our traditional old school agencies. These are people that are up and coming, but there's so much out there, and sometimes you got limited resources. So how do you think about like how does an agency itself differentiate, or an agent stand out, and kind of what core tech do you think is required, and which ones are kind of like nice to haves?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think uh, this we just have to probably just make an assumption that the people we're talking to now is forward looking and interested in growing, because there are many agencies who are not. They're like, not that they're backward looking, but they're like they're okay with whatever they're making, and maybe the owner is a little bit older and doesn't care about technology as
Yep.
much and isn't interested in like learning and just wants to kind of like coast, and that's totally fine too. It's why not? That's I think all power to you. But then there's definitely a growing group of agencies who are interested in leveraging technology to help that business, right? And so for those who are interested in that, I guess you can kind of think of it as like two kind of factors. So one of them would be just helping you with a lot of back office items, right? Back office items could be like uh, gathering documents and putting in different file folders. It could be like, including like loss runs. Like loss runs is if you're a commercial broker or agent, like you're gathering all these loss runs for renewals. And what we've seen is typically like they'll hire somebody to do like the typing stuff. And so like you could probably automate a lot of that, for example, right? And so there's a lot of back office items that you could automate, and so for that, like, you typically those work is are being done by uh less I don't want to say less skill, but they don't have to have the many people can do those tasks, right?
Yeah,
You
it's
could
like
often
non-licensed work.
not licensed, exactly, yeah.
A lot of stuff that I think people are outsourcing to VAs.
Yeah, or even BPOs, yeah. Or you could just hire somebody, who's just available, and then you just hire them to do it. So like those people, if it's automated, this is not a bad use of your resources, and it's probably cheaper to do it too, and maybe better and more accurate. That's often the case. So that there's a lot of back office automation you can do. And then in the kind of the front office part, there is gets a little more tricky. So you have to think a little more like, working with companies like Canopy Connect is great, because you can automate some of the a way that you can actually generate premiums, right, and connect the carriers and stuff. So, but there's probably like table stakes software that you need to have, which is like CRM and AMS, and so picking the right systems is very important. And so that's probably what you need to have as tables against. And some I know a lot of agencies don't even have CRM. So
I know.
I would
Yeah.
I would definitely start there to have the right CRM. And once you have kind of that ecosystem, then you can kind of build on top of it. And there's a lot of new technologies that are out there that help you cross sell, upsell better. There's a company called like Fenris Digital, for example, which can help you pre-fill data about a particular customer. You can identify when is the right time to reach out to them, and probability of sales. There's also companies that help you create ways to engage with the customer through like chatbots, or voice AI even nowadays are getting more sophisticated. So you could tinker with those items and see if it makes sense for you. And technology has been advancing very quickly over the past couple of years, especially in these like Gen AI based technologies. And so it could be really helpful. And then once, if you're really like, want to be upfront and beat the competition, then you can kind of engage in agentic AI and actually automate a lot of the processes that you guys have. I haven't done the survey or anything like that. If you're willing to invest a bit of time and money into technology, you're probably ahead of most other agents.
Yeah, that's very true.
If you want to take advantage of that, there's probably a short window period where that's the case. Pretty soon, everybody will be using technology, right? I don't know exactly when that will be, but right now is a good time to differentiate.
Yeah. I see a risk. I mean, obviously AI is coming in, like it's here, right? We've been saying it's coming, like it's here, it's built into everything to
Yeah,
different degrees. Um, there's still maybe an element of people waiting to see what survives, so to speak, right? Like which stuff is just trendy or forcing AI, like put air quotes on AI into their products in different ways because they feel like those products just, hey, we need to throw some AI into this,
yeah, yeah,
right, as a selling point. But then there's like some of it's going to shake out, and some of it is going to stick and stay and become
yeah,
normal and tried and true. And it's sort of like the .com era, right? Like a bunch of new products are coming out because people can vibe code things and solve their needs in certain ways, and other ones are being developed and refined and tested, or they're getting brought in from another industry, and like, hey, there's an application here, we can apply it in the insurance world. Um but seeing which one actually survives, it's a interesting time, I think. And I there's and the speed at which it's happening,
yeah.
it's going to go a lot quicker than like the .com period took a number of years. I feel like this is going to be like, if we have this conversation again this time next year, like the landscape's going to look, potentially a lot different. There'll be a bunch of new players, and there'll be some that just like, whatever happened to that company? Like,
I feel like a lot of the new technologies are coming up, like generative AI. It was like a couple of years ago. Now it's old news, right? Now it's agentic AI, and I think there's something else I heard something else recently that's like next step of AI. But what's interesting is a lot of like actually there was a phase maybe I don't know 10 years ago that was kind of like AI, which is like blockchain, right? Blockchain was this like huge thing, and it just basically kind of died down, at least in the insurance world, right? And when it came up, it was just all these like use cases that it could be leveraged in the insurance industry, but it didn't sound true. Like something was missing. It's like they were trying to force feed that technology into
yeah.
the industry. But I don't get that from the AI use cases. Whenever they come up with, hey, this is Gen AI can be used for this and this, as anything AI can be for use it. It makes sense. It makes sense. And not only that, carriers and brokers are using them. They're like real. It's not
Mhm.
just an idea. As soon as an idea comes up, they're able to implement it right away. I mean, we talked to a lot of startups, a lot of carriers and brokers, and they're using them. This is not just an idea anymore. And they've been using it actually for past couple of years. So I feel like that's kind of the main difference. So I don't think technology is going away. I don't think the use cases are going away. What is probably going to go away is these companies who are doing the same thing. They're non-differentiated, right? So
Mhm.
there's so many agentic AI companies doing workflow automation that some of them will not survive. There will be consolidation. Some of them maybe just get bottled up by bigger companies who like Microsoft of the world. They might be able to do it. So I think you'll see some consolidation, but it might be a little bit of time before that happens. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Some of these AI companies are getting a good amount of funding, so
Yeah.
they'll last for years.
They got enough runway. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If your insurance agency staff is still spending hours a day on manual data entry, you aren't just losing time, you're losing money. The modern agency isn't built on paperwork, it's built on automation. Canopy Connect is the industry-leading platform that automates your insurance intake. From personal lines to complex commercial loss run summaries, Canopy Connect pulls verified data from 400 carriers instantly. It integrates seamlessly with the tools you already use like PL Rating or EasyLinks, so your team can focus on what they do best: selling and building relationships. It's time to level up your workflow. Go to usecanopy.com/intake or click the button below and discover why the top performing agencies in the country trust Canopy Connect to power their growth. Faster quotes, better data, more wins. That is Canopy Connect, the complete insurance intake platform. Yeah, thinking about like different types of agency. We touched on this a little bit earlier. There's the status quo, I'm fine with how things are types of agencies, and they're fine making, 5% growth or staying flat. And just, hey, we just got to book a business and it's a nice residual, and that's how they rock. And that's like on one end. The other end, we've got these like really super, I won't say overly tech, but like very tech forward um, businesses where it's almost hands off. They're just operating at like a scale. They've got automation, they've got blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
everything going. And then there's kind of this large middle group where I think a lot of like your audience, of agents and brokers probably sit, where it's like, hey,
Yeah.
we want to bring in these tools. We still want to be like, we still want to offer what we differentiate, right? Where we don't want to be a .com uh experience and impersonal thing. We want to be like, talk to someone. We want to advise you on your risk, but we also want to remove a ton of friction from the process. So, but yeah, thinking about that middle ground, which again we touched on, but I think, where do you kind of see that? I think that was one of the themes of your upcoming conference is kind of putting this human element, human in the loop sort of experience. What are your thoughts on that?
Thanks. Yeah, I forgot to mention that we have a theme every year, and this year's theme is human side of insurance. And so the reason why we wanted to focus on that is there's definitely there's been some fear, and there's always been fear with technology. There's always fear that technology is going to replace humans, but we felt the fear being sort of highlighted more with AI. That people are afraid that AI is going to take over human jobs. What I said earlier is that a lot of the back office jobs might be replaced by AI. It might happen, but it'll be a while before any of the front office, like customer facing roles, will be completely taken over by AI. And I even though I understand and know that AI is developing very, very quickly, I think people overestimate the time and effort it takes to implement anything in insurance. you know
Yeah,
and insurance, and for I guess for a reason, insurance is a very risk averse industry, and it kind of needs to be, right? Because it's
that's
just
what
the
they do.
nature, that's what they do. So like that's just how it is. And so yes, there'll be some companies who are very much into experimentation, and they'll leverage these technologies, and some will fail, some will do really well, and maybe those are the ones that are going to stand out. But most of the rest of the carriers and brokers and agents are likely not going to be moving that fast. And so I don't think like humans really have to worry too much about, if it's a critical role they're playing, either as an agent, broker, customer facing, underwriters, like claims adjusters, like these like meaty typical insurance roles that require expertise and knowledge, relationship, like I don't think that's going away anytime soon. I don't think you need to worry about that. And in fact, if it's anything, all of these technologies are going to help you be more productive, much more productive, right? And so that's kind of what what we want to. It's one of the messages we want to share in the conference, and also, it's also possible your role, how you use your technology, how you interact with other humans might adjust and change over time.
Yeah, the evolution of like what doing the work actually means is going to change a little bit. Certainly, as you get more implement the right tools, things are going to get more efficient. You're going to ideally be able to do a lot more with the same amount of people, or with less people, or you know, or a different type of people.
Different
Um,
type of, yeah, yeah.
right.
I
So
mean,
it's a
that's
willingness to learn
yeah.
and evolve and be like, hey, back office jobs are changing, um, and they may be going away. So as a worker, like you have to pivot and adjust what your skill set is, and maybe right. It's now, how do I manage these systems, and how do I manage the underlying integrations and things like that? Because I'll tell you, integrations is not that's always a hairy
Oh,
a hairy
yeah,
topic.
integration. Yeah, integration is not going to be automated anytime soon. So
No,
a lot of things that will just not be automated. Like,
yeah,
selling insurance is just very difficult, right? So
it
that's not
is.
going to be completely automated. Maybe some of the lower premium ones, you want that to be automated anyway because nobody's selling that right now. So if you're an agent, you don't care about those. So you want them to be automated so you can generate additional revenue, for example. But yeah, it's not everything, not anytime soon anyway.
So I like to play some kind of little fun game, a little tidbit here. But I thought for you, I wanted to just ask, what is like a hot take that you have in this sort of insurtech world? You see a lot of things. I'm sure you've got opinions. I don't want to get you in any trouble, but we do
Yeah.
love hot takes here.
Yeah, hot takes. Um, and we're seeing this right now. I don't know if it's such a hot take, but we're seeing these AI-based agencies and uh, who are getting different contracts with some of the bigger carriers, and they're just kind of more efficient at selling like lower premium products, like consumer-based products that are being sold digitally anyway right now. So they're just gonna be a little bit, and so it could be like a two-person agency AI tech company selling 10,000 policies. I think we might see some of that actually this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly easier now. Like the tech stack, and just like the call it the over the counter sort of tech stack that you can go and buy and build
It's so
is
easy. Yeah.
is there, right?
Yeah.
Because you've got raters now that you can put a front end on, or they have a front end that can do quote rate and bind all the way through, and never have to talk to anyone.
I have a friend who was a carrier executive, and then he went off and started his own agency. And he's just a one-man show. He's doing everything himself.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and
And he's a older guy, probably in his like 50s, but just he's got his hands dirty and just started like, you know, creating accounts at like, you know, different raters and different platforms, and now he created a bunch of different websites for different products. So like you can do that, because you don't need to code anything. You can just buy these systems and know how to use them.
Tony, thank you so much for joining today's webinar. Really appreciate you joining. Um, where can people learn more about you and InsurTech New York?
Sure, yeah, no, thanks for having me, Ray, again. You can, if you're interested in learning more, you can go to our website, InsurTechNY.com, and you'll see our conference events, our accelerator programs, everything.
Thanks so much for joining, and yeah, tune in next time for the next episode.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, everyone.